Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. We've got Bitcoin here on the charts, guys, still holding up at about $29,700 per coin. You can see, doing a very, very good job of holding that level of support. The level of support that we saw when Bitcoin bounced down here in June of 2021, made a new all-time high, guys. We're still holding that, and you know, it makes sense considering the 89% rule. I did a video on that recently, and I'm just gonna kind of quickly demonstrate again what that rule is. I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and I was talking to him a little bit about this, and I said, you know what, I'll send you the video, and then I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just go over it for everybody this morning. So for the people who saw that video and might still be a little bit confused, this one's for you. Also, Patrick, this is for you too, buddy. The 89% rule essentially looks at the current Bitcoin trend and, you know, takes a percentage here from when we saw Bitcoin make its all-time high, going down to its former all-time high. Now, we're going to consider that, guys, the baseline measurement. You can see here, going up from the current all-time high down to this former all-time high back in 2017. And you can see that measurement there, around 71.37% correction. Now, the second measurement, what we do is we take this all-time high again for Bitcoin, and we take this and we drag it down. We take it all the way down to the bottom of this wick here, where we saw this wick go. And if you guys can see there, that is roughly a 63.29% correction. Now, what we are doing is we are assuming that this represents 100 and that this correction, this most recent correction, comparative to the correction from the former all-time highs, that should equal 89%. So if I just were to take that and divide that. So if I were to just take out the calculator and show you guys, if I were to take 63.29 divided by 71.37, and I multiply that by 100, what do we get here? Well, we get 88.67, which is, for all intents and purposes, roughly 89%. Now, let's just take a look at the former bull run over here, just so I can show you guys similar math here. So the last bull run, when we peaked in for Bitcoin in December of 2017, we saw this peak. That was the peak of roughly $20,000 per BTC. And the former peak here was back in 2013. So that was the former bull run, right? Last peak in 2013, we formed a bear market, then finally rallied up to the new peak before the next bear market. So that measurement is 94.09%. And so if I were to take the bottom, if we were to calculate the bottom, the 89% bottom, what we would do is we'd take this measurement up here all the way to the bottom of the market, which was in and around here. Okay, 84.35 is that measurement. So again, we'll take out that calculator, clear that up, and as you guys can see here, 84.35 divided by 94.09, multiply that by 100, and for all intents and purposes, you get roughly 89%. So this is what I'm noticing here. Hope that clarifies things for the people who may not have known. And Patrick, that's the explanation. So I hope you guys get something out of that. So, you know, again, Bitcoin has dipped down in here. $25,500 is that low. And now we're finding that support. Again, I could see Bitcoin continue, come back down in this area, hover in and around here for the next little while before we start making our way up again. And again, the rest of the crypto market is following Bitcoin at this moment. So, you know, Bitcoin is the gauge as to where the rest of the market's going. XRP trading right now just shy of 40 cents. So a great time to buy altcoins, great time to buy Bitcoin. However, I think I've made a decision. I'm going to add to my stacks of altcoins, but I think I'm still going to wait a little while. I think I am going to wait to see if we go down even further. If we match this level here that we saw mid-month, maybe stack up on some Cardano, some Algorand, perhaps some XLM. I'm going to take a look at some of my positions today and make some decisions, but I will let you guys know when I do purchase some more altcoins. I want to keep moving though, guys, because we do have a Ripple SEC lawsuit update. This coming from James K. Filan. The SEC has filed a motion for extension of time until June 7th. So they're pushing it. They keep on pushing this motion to file objection to the amici request to participate in briefing regarding the expert challenge. So they're still pushing. They're pushing until June 7th now. And I probably don't have to read you guys this letter. I will link it in the description for you guys if you are interested. Fred Rispoli, though, responding to this, SEC needs more time for a response. It already wrote in Exhibit 2 of John Deaton's letter motion? Of course it does. Now we know why Attorney Jeremy Hogan said in his last video, it was better to get on this early. John's amici brief will demolish the SEC until it looks like duty. A little bit of a word pun there. And then Oro Giorgio here, actually bringing up an interesting point. I think they have deferred because they are afraid that if the XRP holders prove that they have suffered damages under common law, the SEC will lose because the SEC is the founder of the people and must heed because the SEC's competence will be questioned. Interesting perspective. Nevertheless, it is being pushed. I just thought I'd bring you guys that update. Algorand, guys, making some more news. Data History Museum reimagines museums by launching the world's first NFT-powered collection of earthquake artifacts. So, guys, this is all happening, going to be developed on the Algorand blockchain. Data History Museum, a MakerX venture, has sold out its Genesis collection, including the world's first verifiably authentic digital historical artifact, which marks a 4.67 magnitude earthquake in Hawaii, and was sold at auction for 1,050 algos, with 50% of the proceeds donated towards scientific research and 50% towards disaster relief. So even being purchased with the Algorand cryptocurrency, Data History Museum was created to produce NFT artifacts for all major historical events as they happen. For example, the initial implementation creates an NFT for every major earthquake that occurs worldwide. I mean, that's kind of cool, right? You can see history kind of preserved through these digital NFTs, non-fungible tokens, through automation that leverages data from the U.S. Geological Survey's Open API. The NFT minting for such earthquake is automatic and instantaneous and also includes important metadata tied to the event, such as magnitude, depth, longitude, and latitude of the site, and more. Before now, historical artifacts have been physical objects that contain data which can be extended to authenticate their originality and their historical significance, data that cannot be artificially reproduced. This quality of verifiable uniqueness or non-fungibility is part of what qualifies something as an authentic historic artifact. And guys, again, being produced on the Algorand blockchain, that particular artifact even purchased with algo tokens, 1,500 algos as this stated here. So that is some interesting news. We are starting to see more developments, and Algorand is an interesting project. It seems as though they are branching out into all kinds of different types of applications. So this is just another one. And we also have this, guys, from Just Jeremiah Crypto here with regards to Coinbanks and their partnership with Algorand. So he posts a little thread here. Coinbanks and Algorand partner with the Developing Africa Group to launch a nationwide wallet that will be able to upload any form of ID rights and trade, sell or exchange them abroad while collecting royalties. And so just a few screen grabs here, just demonstrating that partnership. Nigeria to launch major crypto initiative, IP exchange, and this is happening with Algorand. The Nigerian government has signed a 3-year exclusive IPR, or intellectual property rights agreement, with Developing African Group to launch a nationwide wallet which will enable the international commercialization of all IP forms being created and registered within the country. And so this is happening both locally and internationally. So for example, it gives us some examples here: trademarks, patents, all forms of copyrights, such as song lyrics, videos, shows, lectures, podcasts, and all forms of streamable content. So guys, all this is going to be documented, and looks like it's going to be put on the Algorand blockchain through this partnership with Coinbanks. The Developing African Group has chosen Coinbanks with the government's approval as the tokenization and payments engine to be utilized in the country, and the Algorand blockchain, the protocol to build on top of. Coinbanks, the leading Latin American asset tokenization and blockchain financial infrastructure company, will be in charge of implementing the wallet. The token, both for the IP being sold and stablecoin equivalent to the Naira, to pay the creators, in addition to the overall technical integration of the different vendors in play, which would include one of the top card issuing companies worldwide, a content streaming platform, and top firms, both legal and data mining. They will be announced before the launch date. So another interesting development here on the Algorand blockchain, tracking trademarks in this particular African nation. And here's a quote, guys. Algorand's protocol not only provides the performance, scalability, security, and functionality required to implement such a large-scale project, but also is environmentally friendly, which is important for the government and has a who has a huge philosophical match with the creators economy industry we're targeting here. This coming from Ben Ogutala. He is the CEO of the Developing Africa Group. They also note down here, apparently Coinbanks and Algorand have partnered before. It's not the first partnership. The synergy already already extends to several recent national public and private initiatives across Latin America, including a national blockchain-based citizens ID and information program in Colombia, El Salvador's national registration program, which comprehends IP, but also land, vehicle, and legal entities and titles, and over 10 different payments implementation for banks in the region. So we can see a lot of implementation here. Partnership obviously expanding with Koi Banks and Algorand. They clearly see the benefit in this. So an interesting perspective here. Wanted to thank Just Jeremiah Crypto. He also does give some other kind of points down here in this thread that I guess I could breeze over quickly. Some of the things that were mentioned in that article, like the partnership in El Salvador, for example, trying to launch a new project also in January 2023. So they have things on the go. And also, besides uplifting the Nigerian economy, why is this relevant? Jeremiah here also mentioning WTK, the WadsPay token, and that project. And a niche tweets, this guy here has stated, working with Algorand is the top priority right now. Market expansion in Africa, African CBDCs. Will WTK get a piece of the pie? Well, that is still yet to be determined, but there is some evidence here suggesting that there could be more partnerships in the works. So interesting news there. Again, wanted to thank Jeremiah for posting that. Around the world, cryptocurrency adoption is happening. It's taking place. It is exploding. Yet in the US, we're still waiting, and it's becoming more and more apparent worldwide at the WEF, World Economic Forum conference in Davos that is happening this week. People are realizing, they're coming to the conclusion that the US still kind of, trying to figure their way into some meaningful cryptocurrency regulatory clarity. This coming from Crypto Eddie here. And this is Lynn Martin, president of NYSE. She weighs in on crypto regulations, and Gary Gensler. Listen to this.
Crypto is a market that, in my opinion, needs guardrails. It needs regulation. It needs a proper regulatory structure, which I know the regulators are spending a lot of time thinking about.
And then will it be appropriate for your platform?
Didn't necessarily say that, but, we always look and talk to our customers about what they want to see on our platform.
Come on. We've gone from 60 to 29,000. You got a bunch of clowns up Happy Valley telling me Bitcoin is a currency.
Well, that's
again,
the question.
You're the adults in the room. Where's Gensler on this? What does Gensler need to do about crypto?
From our conversations with Gensler, he's spending a lot of time thinking about how to regulate this. And my understanding is that he's, working with his team to roll out appropriate regulation. But, he's got to also balance that versus the future side of the business, the CFTC and other agencies too, because it is a unique animal as to how to regulate that.
So Lynn Martin here from the NYSE coming up to Gary Gensler's defense. Okay, it's an interesting position. I know many others that would disagree vehemently, myself included. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this clip. This was Gary Gensler from about a month ago talking about regulatory clarity in the markets and, insisting we cannot undermine 90 years of securities laws and create some regulatory arbitrage or loopholes. Listen to this clip.
There's no reason to treat the crypto markets differently just because different technology is used. We should be technology neutral, but not policy neutral about these core public policy goals that we've laid out, we've debated. Congress has come together with prior administrations and embedded in laws. The SEC is embedded in regulations. New technologies come along all the time. The question is how we adjust to those new technologies. But make no mistake, we already live in a digital age. That's not what's new here. We have digital money. That's how you buy a cup of coffee, or you get paid your wages, or you pay your tuition at school, right? The days of physical stock certificate ended decades ago. So there's nothing new about the digital component here. There's also nothing new about people raising money to fund their projects. Entrepreneurs with good ideas have found, yes, another way to raise money, the crypto markets, the initial coin offerings and the like. That's not new either. But crypto may offer a new way for entrepreneurs to raise the capital and for investors to bet on those entrepreneurs. But we still need investor and market protection. We already have robust ways to protect investor trading on platforms, and we have robust ways to protect investors when entrepreneurs want to raise money from the public. We ought to apply those same protections in the crypto markets, and I say again to the platforms, whether trading or lending or the tokens. Come in, work through register. We'll figure out how the regulations work. We'll adapt where it need be and where appropriate to achieve the core mission. But let's not risk undermining 90 years of securities laws and create some regulatory arbitrage or loophole, or frankly, wait until the public is so hurt that it reacts and you lose the trust that those entrepreneurs are trying to build in these markets.
So you notice here Gary Gensler blaming this on the technology. He's saying, well, people are talking about this as the technology is different, therefore we should be regulating this differently, and he's trying to kind of divert the problem almost in a way when he's saying it's not about the technology so much, we've had digital money and we've had stock certificates have been digitized for decades now. He's using all these examples in the past where the technology has changed, and so he's trying to liken the crypto market to that. The problem, though, is he's not actually tackling the fundamental issues here. And it's problematic because the SEC sees this as just another asset class and isn't really parsing through the details and the complexities of it. And the Library Foundation has an opinion here. As you guys know, Library, I don't think they're called the Library Foundation. I think it's just Library. Library was sued by the SEC, and they posted this. Gary, the rules are clear. Blockchain industry, can we read them? Gary, no. Industry, can you give us any hints? Gary, no. Industry, guesses at the rules. Gary Gensler then says, you guessed wrong, you go to jail. And that's kind of been what the industry has been thus far. And I think the SEC can only get away with that so much. Another good example, of course, the Ripple XRP lawsuit now in court. And because Ripple has the resources, because Ripple has the lawyers, the manpower, they are able to fight this. And they have, not only that, they have the XRP community behind them, of course, fighting with them every step of the way, uncovering new information, posting it on Twitter. And again, I'm of the opinion that Ripple's lawyers are scouring Twitter. I definitely think they are. And maybe, even if they're not picking tweets and using specific tweets as evidence directly, I'm sure they are gleaning information from there and going back to their people and saying, hey, look into this. We want to see if we can get them on that. So Gary Gensler here, obviously, this was back from last month, but he just posted this on Twitter just yesterday. Other opinions here from the Gary Gensler clip. Jeremy Hogan also chimed in on this. SEC Chair Gensler, come on in and we'll figure out how regulation works. We also know that this has been a problem. We know that Ripple has actually come into the SEC's office and offered up transparency, offered to say, here, look, this is what we're doing. We're being transparent. Can you please give us some guidance? And I think it was David Schwartz who was mentioning that. It was either him or Brad Garlinghouse. And, the SEC wasn't really doing anything to help them along. So they just thought, oh, okay, let's go on our merry way and let's do what we do. And then boom, 2020 arrives and they get sued. SEC 2023 budget request, $2.15 billion. This again from Jeremy Hogan. And it can't be bothered to draft clear regulations for a new industry. That's what we are paying for, U.S. taxpayers. Yeah. Costa Rica Kelly down here saying Gary's house, Gary Gensler's house of clarity. And if you're familiar with Escher's work, this is exactly what it is. Very, very confusing. John Deaton here also saying he's basically saying leave everything to him and not provide guidance or do anything similar to what the UK's FCA or Japan's FSA have done. He prefers regulatory uncertainty and vagueness, which will allow regulation through enforcement to continue. And so this is what we have to stop. The regulation through enforcement. We need the clear crypto rules. And now that we have the Terra Luna situation only a couple of weeks behind us now, I think government's going to shift. I think they're going to pivot. They're going to shift gears, and they're going to focus now on stablecoins, which kind of puts the rest of the industry at a bit of a, don't want to say disadvantage, but it's a bit of a disservice, I guess, to the rest of the crypto space because there's so many projects out there that are doing very, very good things, being innovative, wanting to compete on a global stage. And yet, I mean, if they cannot continue to work because they do not have the clarity or for fear that they might get sued by the SEC, how is that good for American innovation? It's not. Anyway, John Deaton saying that every time Gary Gensler speaks, I have to grab a Pepto, says James Rural XRP. Michelle Schlen here saying, yeah, I can't stand listening to him either. am always very reluctant to talk about Gary Gensler on the channel. Well, not really reluctant, but you know, I don't feel like when I talk about what's going on with the SEC, the Ripple case, and when it comes back to Gary Gensler, I feel like the XRP community has just had enough with him, and myself included. I mean, I'm sick of this guy, but at the same time, I think it's important to follow what is going on because this is going to shape cryptocurrency regulatory clarity in the US. The SEC obviously playing a big part in this. Unfortunately, Gary Gensler, this Weasley guy, he is at the helm of the SEC. He's the commissioner, the lead commissioner over there. So we've got to kind of tolerate him, I think, for a little bit longer. Stu Alderati here, Ripple's in-house counsel. He also chimed in on this. We all agree that consumer and market protections are needed, but saying that every token besides BTC maybe is a security is a combination of bad law and bad policy all at the same time of the SEC's political land grab over this asset class. So that's the other thing. The SEC wants jurisdiction. He's saying the SEC's jurisdiction is not limitless, and that there will be a time where cryptocurrencies are regulated, and there is going to be a clear framework. And I guess it's going to depend on who is going to regulate this. If it might even be a separate body altogether. We just don't know. James K. Filan down here saying, "We'll figure out how the regulations work." It's a quote. So much for regulatory clarity now and over the past decade. So 3 lawyers, of course, all very biased in their opinions because they're part of the XRP community and we know what's happening with Ripple and XRP in court. Nevertheless, I think it's good to get a sense of where, and I think this can extend to the rest of the industry, where we stand in terms of our feelings, at least in the United States. And I'm saying we in terms of the blockchain industry. I mean, I'm not directly involved in that industry. I just talk about it on YouTube. Nevertheless, here's another one, guys, from Michael at Val5Links. This coming from the Chamber of Digital Commerce, the founder saying the SEC is the #1 blocker. As the digital assets industry continues to evaluate the potential impact of Biden's executive order, one digital asset advocate group is calling for jurisdictional clarity. It's very clear that the US SEC is the #1 blocker to this industry having economic progress and springing an economic boom in this country that we haven't seen in decades. This coming from Perry-Ann Boring, founder and CEO of the Chamber of Digital Commerce, and she said this at a DC Blockchain Summit meeting in Washington on Tuesday. The SEC needs to define what a digital asset security is for starters, Boring said. The industry cannot continue to innovate without clear guidelines, and investors need safe options for crypto exposure, including a spot Bitcoin ETF. So going back to that Bitcoin ETF, nevertheless, for the entire industry, she is saying the SEC is the roadblock here, but at least the World Economic Forum is allowing the cryptocurrency industry into their summit this year. And I know they've kind of limited it to crypto-friendly projects. We know based on their report from last year, this is Cryptocurrencies, a guide to getting started from the World Economic Forum, published in June of 2021. We know they have a list of cryptocurrencies that they see as the coins that are going to make a difference for solving problems during this coming decade, namely Algorand, Cardano, CELO, XRP, Solana, and Stellar's XLM. And this is why I'm paying attention to these coins, these projects, particularly carefully. So they have Brad Garlinghouse over there in Davos. And here's just an article saying, with Brad just basically talking about the SEC tying up innovation in the US. And that was from Fox Business. James Royal XRP here has the clip for us from Brad Garlinghouse at Davos. Listen to this.
Well, I think the whole industry needs to be more transparent. I think that applies to Tether. I think that applies to, the whole industry. From the earliest days, Ripple and the XRP community, we've tried to lead by example. We've really tried to be the adults in the crypto room.
Ripple and the XRP community, we've tried to lead by example. We've really tried to be the adults in the crypto room.
Ripple and the XRP community have tried to lead by example. We've been the adults in the room. I like how Brad extends it to the XRP community there.
And it's the reason why I've come here to Davos and met with finance ministers from around the world, CEOs of banks from around the world, to talk about how these technologies can actually solve real-world problems and reduce costs and improve the efficiency of particularly cross-border payments, an area that here at WEF they care a lot about, a population that's paying the most for remittance costs that can least afford it.
So Brad there giving his soundbite on why crypto innovation is so important, and with regards in relation to Ripple and cross-border payments specifically, he knows by having a seat at the World Economic Forum, he knows politically what that means. He knows in terms of power, in terms of changing the industry and shaping the future of finance, he knows what that means. We know Ripple is going to be at the center of this. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.